And a happy Sunday, rainy Sunday here in New York to one and all. This is episode 177 of the Confessions of a Not So Dangerous Mind podcast. I'd like to thank you for taking yet another trip home with me as I head back here on Long Island, headed east. If you check out this episode on the YouTube channel, enjoy the content, haven't done so already, please click like, subscribe, comment, share, turn on those notifications. Or if you catch this episode on the audio platforms such as Spotify or iTunes, same general rule applies. Click like, subscribe, share, and turn on those notifications. So one element, aspect, a conceptual thing when it comes to movies that used to be a really big deal with me, and now it's kind of a shoulder shrug. The concept of summer movie season. And even as a kid who liked movies, I wasn't necessarily aware of, in the fall and winter, the studios are going to try to get the Oscar bait movies into theaters, and in the summer they're going to more or less lump the movies that, some of them are going to end up being Oscar contenders, but the movies that have the best chance, in their esteemed opinions, whatever that's worth, nobody knows anything, as William Goldman famously said, but the idea is to arrange the movies with the highest percentage chance of being major box office hits, blockbusters, franchises, sequel money, all of that into the summer season. The first summer season where I was fully aware of what I just said to you was the summer of '89, when I was 15, and because I was only 15, I didn't have the authority. Everyone's an authority. Name the movie. You don't have to name the movie. It's Raging Bull. But I didn't, it wasn't that easy for me to just go 3 miles to the movies. I was years away from having a driver's license, but the summer of '89, it was the first time that, well in advance of hitting the season, there were a number of movies I was really excited for, and I'm going to try to remember them all. I was excited for Timothy Dalton's second and unfortunately final turn as James Bond, License to Kill. I was looking forward to Ghostbusters 2, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Parenthood, all 3 of those co-starring the great Rick Moranis, Lethal Weapon 2, Karate Kid 3, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, Tim Burton's Batman. You want to talk about a stacked summer movie season with a ridiculous number of all-timers. Oh, well, this isn't necessarily that great. Al Yankovic's UHF, which was a fucking scream. Oh, When Harry Met Sally, another one. So many big movies in that particular summer movie season. And in theaters, I saw Lethal Weapon 2 twice. I saw License to Kill, and I saw Batman '89. I wanted to see most of the others. It just didn't work. Oh, and James Cameron's The Abyss, but not really the preferred director's cut, the 2-hour, 20-minute botch that, Rupert Murdoch. Loved the movie in its close to 3-hour format, but he told Big Jim, we can't release this movie in the summer season. You're going to have to cut it. So he took a half hour out and basically pulled the guts out of the movie. It's not very good. Director's cut, masterpiece. So that was an incredible summer movie season. Now, 1990 was okay. You had Die Hard 2, which was a huge hit. And that was one that I also saw in theaters. And Rennie Harlan, the filmmaker who did Die Hard 2, he also did another movie that came out that summer, which I love, but which is a guilty pleasure movie, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, starring a very young Andrew Clay Silverstein, or Andrew Dice Clay, if you prefer, in the lead as a rock and roll detective, and an incredible supporting cast with Lauren Holly and Gilbert Gottfried and Wayne Newton and Morris Day and Robert Englund playing a Freddy Krueger-esque character. Oh, Dick Tracy with Madonna and Warren Beatty, a movie that I think is vastly underrated. Absolutely adore that movie. Came out in the summer and kind of underperformed. Didn't do as well as many people expected. It made over $100 million, but similar to Ghostbusters 2 the previous summer, because Ghostbusters, the first one from '84, had been a runaway massive smash at the box office. Ghostbusters 2 pulled a well over $100 million box office gross, Yeah, 35 years ago. It was pretty fucking impressive, but it was supposed to do probably double the business. The movie just not that good. It's just not that good. So, summer of 1990. 1990 is a good year for movies. You had films like Goodfellas and Home Alone and Reversal of Fortune and, other terrific films. But not as memorable as far as the summer season. And 1990, Total Recall, best film of the summer, one of the best movies of the year, and a top 3 greatest Arnold Schwarzenegger classic, no pun intended, film ever. Love, love, love Total Recall. 2 weeks! Get ready for a surprise! Fuck you, asshole! Screw you! Benny! Sorry, I can't help going into the Arnold impersonations. He's got so many great ones. He's had one amazing line after another in that movie. It's the best mindfuck yet. Come on, Cohagen, you got what you want. Give these people air! Number 1 greatest non-I'll be back Arnold moment. Give these people air. Give these people air! Summer 91. As teased in 1990 with Total Recall, they showed the first teaser trailer for Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is a rare example of a movie that even in the pre-internet age was massively hyped. I mean hyped beyond imagination given the fact that the internet didn't exist. There was so much advanced buzz. People were looking forward to that movie for months and months. And the film not only hit it, but it exceeded everyone's wildest imagination. It was even better than we hoped. And that is something that does not happen very often in life, let alone Hollywood. Now, some of the other movies that I was looking forward to from summer 91, really the one big one was Naked Gun 2.5, which I saw the same trip I saw Terminator 2 with my grandpa, my dad's dad. We saw Naked Gun 2.5. I think it opened a week prior and was a big hit, but nothing like Terminator 2. Hudson Hawk came out summer 91. That was a film that had a lot of buzz and ended up just bombing massively. It was too quirky and weird and different. And now it's kind of a cult film. Not kind of. Now it is a cult film. And there are people who will argue tooth and nail that the movie is an underappreciated masterpiece and that it is way better than the shitty reviews it got. And the fact that it more or less bombed when it hit. And I saw it. I rented the VHS tape about 4 or 5 months later, fall 91. I thought it sucked. Didn't like it at all. And I'm a huge Bruce Willis fan. And Danny Aiello, love him too. Sandra Bernhard, Richard E. Grant. Great cast. But not really a fan of the movie. Charlie Sheen with Hot Shots. That was also summer 91. I didn't see that in theaters. And looking ahead to the next summer, which was 92, there were a lot of good movies that came out over the summer, but it was not, strictly speaking, a great summer movie season. Like the best movie of the year, Unforgiven, came out in August. That's not really a summer movie. That turned out to be every bit of a prestige picture. So yeah, Unforgiven, the best movie of the summer of 92. There were other movies I really liked over that summer, though. I thought A League of Their Own was really good. Love Tom Hanks, love Gina Davis, Lori Petty. I don't think it's in my top 10 best sports films, but it's very good. Lethal Weapon 3, just okay. Just okay. The first 2 were way better, in my opinion. The third one was fun, monster box office hit, etc., etc. But other than those movies, nothing is really, like White Men Can't Jump was not a summer movie. It came out late winter, early spring. Basic Instinct, same thing. My Cousin Vinny, same thing. They came out earlier in the year, so they're not summer movies. Jack Nicholson did a film with, I think, Ellen Barkin, his old buddy Bob Rafelson, Man Trouble, bomb, no good. Batman Returns was a huge hit. Didn't like it. I didn't think the movie was that good. From a production standpoint, spectacular. The set design, the set pieces, the way that Tim Burton was able to choreograph action sequences within the set pieces, it didn't land for me as an 18-year-old who was expecting a different kind of movie. I thought it was going to be closer to the first one, which I fucking loved. It's not really. It's even moodier, and the colors are a lot brighter, but the movie just didn't work. I didn't buy DeVito's character, Oswald Cobblepot. Didn't buy it. Didn't buy Catwoman, Selena Kyle. No. Christopher Walken is a Scream. Not really. I like the movie now, but I was disappointed at the time. My favorite, the summer movie season that I was most specifically geeked for, when I had the ability to simply go to the movies whenever the fuck I wanted to go to the movies, was the following summer, 93. And the summer of 93 started with a bang with Dave. Ivan Reitman, again, making the kind of movie that he was so good at. He had a little bit of the Frank Capra ethos to him. But Dave was a movie that I had seen teased, and the early buzz was very, very strong. And I thought the film, I mean, it was one of my father, easily one of his 10 favorite movies of all time. It was a movie he could always watch. We saw it in theaters, and man, what a fucking great movie that is. I just love it. It's funny, and it actually has a heart and a message and a point, and it's just gets every single note exactly right, and it's so well acted. From Kevin Kline playing two parts, Ving Rhames, Sigourney Weaver, Frank Langella's a Scream, Sir Ben Kingsley is great. He shows up late in the movie. There's so much to love about the movie Dave. As far as what I saw in theaters, now I had been looking forward to Jurassic Park. I had read the book the previous year. And Jurassic Park, the movie, it's not as good as Crichton's novel, but I think it's terrific. Given what Spielberg was trying to do, which was make an old school, I mean, he's one of the forerunners with Jaws, an old school summer blockbuster, and to me it succeeds magnificently. It's very effective on the level of a summer blockbuster. Now, somewhat controversially, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Last Action Hero, which I'd been as excited for, if not more so, than Jurassic Park, because it was Arnold's follow-up to Terminator 2. And Arnold had really connected with young boomers and Gen Xers with Terminator 2 in a way that a lot of people really weren't expecting. Like his push from star to the biggest star in the world, most people didn't think it was going to happen. They didn't see it coming. And then he had that unbelievable run from Predator through Terminator 2. 4 years, and so many huge hits within that range. From Predator, Running Man, fucking love the Running Man, Kindergarten Cop, Twins. He was just killing it. And then Terminator 2 was one of the biggest hits in the history of cinema, if we just go box office gross and inflation adjusted. I don't know if it would still be in the top 10, but it's 33 years old, and it would be close. It was that big of a hit, and a great movie that, if you ask me, could have easily been nominated for Best Picture, and James Cameron should have been nominated for Best Director, because his ability to blend mechanical effects done during production, stunt work, and what at the time was cutting-edge CGI, and make it all blend together and be believable, that's not something that anybody had ever done before, not even him. But as I say, I digress. He ended up not getting nominated. But the idea was that Arnold was hitting one home run after another in that era. And he had circled a lot of huge projects. He was thinking of making a movie called Crusades with Ridley Scott, which kind of Kingdom of Heaven, I don't know if it was the same script, but it would have been in that ballpark. He was going to do something based on the comic book Sergeant Rock with Joel Silver, and that he kept saying the script wasn't ready. And he almost did the movie that I think Dwayne Johnson did about the Tooth Fairy. Arnold was going to do that in 1992 for a 93 release, and that didn't work out. Arnold was convinced the script just wasn't good enough, and he didn't want to make any old movie. And that's why a lot of people got on his case when he ended up doing Last Action Hero with a great action filmmaker, the now somewhat notorious John McTiernan, but he'd worked with McTiernan on Predator. McTiernan's direction in Predator is incredible. It's a fantastically well-directed movie, also skillfully blending practical effects, mechanical effects, incredible stunt work with early era CGI, and doing it beautifully. So Last Action Hero bombed. It more or less bombed at the domestic box office. It did well enough overseas it grossed back its production cost. But it's a movie that got a lot of shitty reviews, and it just seems that audiences weren't ready for it. they weren't ready for Arnold to do that kind of winking at itself as opposed to winking at the audience so much. And a lot of people just didn't like it. But if you look now, people discovering it, if you go on YouTube and watch some of the kind of top movie reactors who had never seen the film before, you say, this was a bomb? This fucking movie's awesome. It's funny, and again, very well acted. Great actors like Charles Dance, who is an amazing villain in the film, and Arnold is a riot, and F. Murray Abraham is a scream. If you remember him from Amadeus, there's a lot of Amadeus jokes in the movie. Mercedes Ruehl had just won Supporting Actress Oscar. She plays the mom of the main character. I think the movie is a home run. But I saw Last Action Hero with my dad the night it opened, and neither one of us liked it. It just didn't work. It's the kind of movie that you almost have to throw your expectations out the door and just sort of let yourself get enveloped in the absurdity of the crazy story that they throw at you. But it is definitely a movie that gets better the more you see it. Repeat viewings, you pick up other things, the incredible roster of celebrity cameos in the film, which is one of the highlights. You can't believe how many major stars of the era just show up in the movie, from Danny DeVito, Sharon Stone on down. Just awesome. But that was also the summer of In the Line of Fire, which I've talked about recently on the channel, which I would argue is the single best film of that summer. One of the best films of the year. And The Fugitive with Harrison Ford was another monster box office hit and a legitimately terrific film. I don't think it's as good, even though it was nominated for Best Picture, which is rare for a flat-out action film such as The Fugitive. I don't think The Fugitive is anywhere near as good as In the Line of Fire. It doesn't have the consistency, and I don't buy the entire third act. It doesn't work. It's like the movie kind of, the first hour and 20, hour and 30 is incredible, and then it just kind of is a letdown. Whereas In the Line of Fire, there might be a couple of sections towards the middle, like the middle third, that aren't as exciting as, let's say, the first half hour, last half hour. But the movie doesn't go slack, and it doesn't strain credulity. It really doesn't. Even though, yeah, this probably couldn't happen. But in the world of the film, everything that takes place, to me, is believable. And in The Fugitive, it's just like, nah, this is kind of a letdown. It just doesn't quite get there. It's not as good. I don't think the movie's as good as its reputation, is what I would say. Searching for Bobby Fischer, another wonderful, amazing movie that came out late in the summer. Mike Myers, So I Married an Axe Murderer. You want to talk cult films? There's a big cult movie. Mom, I'm interested that you refer to the Weekly World News as The Paper. The paper contains facts. This paper contains facts. Charles Grodin in a cameo in that movie, and a slightly bigger role than a cameo as Dave Kovic, Kevin Kline's accountant friend Murray, in Dave. So two huge, great movies that Charles Grodin, the amazing, wonderful Charles Grodin, the late great, was in Midnight Run, among other classic films. Two big ones that summer. But yeah, summer 93 was my favorite. I'm probably leaving out Rookie of the Year, another classic. Float It. Float It. Love John Candy in that movie, though. And I guess 94 was another big summer. I think 94 is the last where I was really geeked specifically for summer movie season. And in the case of 94, it was more True Lies, Arnold reteaming with James Cameron. And Jim Carrey had already hit it big with Ace Ventura. And we were told that, yeah, the internet was nothing like now, that he had two movies in the can, the first of which, The Mask, was a summer movie, and the early buzz on that was that he was incredible and the movie was going to be a big hit. That's exactly what happened. Loved The Mask, loved True Lies, didn't see The Lion King in theaters. Saw Forrest Gump, really liked it. And the kind of big hitters in the second part of the year, Shawshank Redemption and Pulp Fiction. Now, Pulp Fiction was on everyone's radar, well, people like me, because it had taken the top prize, the Palme d'Or, at the Cannes Film Festival. So we were pretty sure that when we saw it, it was going to be fucking great. But we hadn't seen it yet. And I guess up to the point in the year that I saw Forrest Gump, I would have thought that Gump was the best film of its year. So Summer 94 was okay. There were a lot of movies that had big build-up and buzz and just weren't that good. Renaissance Man, Penny Marshall with Mark Wahlberg, and I forgot who else was in that one. The kid from A Bronx Tale, Lilo Brancato, and there were a couple of other actors. It's funny that I don't remember, but I know Danny DeVito was one of the nominal stars. Wasn't that good. The Cowboy Way with Kiefer Sutherland and Woody Harrelson got a huge build-up. Not good. Beverly Hills Cop 3, huge build-up. Eddie's back. Not good. But then again, I thought Beverly Hills Cop 2 was pretty bad. Pretty bad. And the first one I just think is okay. I don't love it. So yeah, so 94. City Slickers 2, big build-up. Movie's not good. First one is a classic. Second one, not so good. So that was a summer where a lot of the big studio, theoretical big releases, not that great. And I almost forgot Speed. Speed is probably the best action film of the summer, and a movie that almost everybody liked. That was even a critical darling, despite it being action film. Check your brain at the door. Well, this could never happen. The joke at the time was, you'll never even get to go 50 miles an hour on the LA freeway. You're just going to be sitting in wall-to-wall traffic. That was the most unbelievable part of the movie, the idea that you could keep a bus above 50 miles an hour on a fucking freeway. Yeah, go fuck yourself. It ain't happening. But those are really the summers that I think of, because going forward, like I remember the next summer in 95, you had Braveheart. 95 is it's probably the weakest movie year of the entire decade of the 90s, which I've argued and will tooth and nail go at anybody who tells me it's not the best movie decade as far as Hollywood. It is. And I'll take on anybody in that argument. And it is, after all. There's no way to quantify it. But I'm pretty well versed in films of the 70s. That would be the one decade that some people would say it was better. I welcome that sort of debate. I love that stuff. That's what's great about debating movies. It's fun, and in almost all cases, nobody gets hurt. We're just having a good time, and we're talking about great movies and some of our favorites and what could be better. Debating what's a better movie, the original Dirty Harry or Unforgiven with Clint. There's no real right answer to that. It's a matter of opinion. It's subjective. But yeah, I didn't see Braveheart in theaters. And I guess 96 was a big summer movie season because you had The Rock, and I don't mean Dwayne Johnson, one of Sean Connery's last sort of big lead roles with Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris. That was a great action movie. I saw that one in theaters. And summer 97 had another great Nicolas Cage action movie, certainly a top 10 all-time face-off. And I forgot, in 95, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Loved it. Die Hard 3, I think it's better than the second one. Not as good as the first one, but better than the second one. And I guess because 97 was the last year that, I graduated college in May of 97. 97 was the last summer movie season where I was really into what was coming out. Oh, and you see, this is a problem with these sorts of lists. I forgot Arnold Schwarzenegger's Eraser from the summer of 96. That's probably the least well-known and least discussed significant box office hit of his career. It went well over 100 million. It's fun. It's not that good, but it's fun. And the character he plays is just what you would expect. He's a guy whose job it is he works with the witness protection program, and he erases the past of people who are going into the witness protection program to protect their lives, remove every trace of their identity, and as far as the people trying to kill them know, they're dead. It's okay. James Caan makes kind of a cool mustache twirling villain, but it's disposable. There's really nothing memorable about the movie Eraser. Arnold gets a couple of one-liners in there, but nothing as memorable as I say, I'll be back, or consider the divorce. Yeah, Arnold really did a lot of summer movies. He had Total Recall 1990, Terminator 2 91, Last Action Hero 93, True Lies 94, and Eraser 96. They were all hits, with the exception of Last Action Hero. I guess there are plenty of people who, in my age bracket, who they never really sort of, their enthusiasm for summer movie season never flagged. They just continue to get geeked up, and you see it even on social media like Instagram, where people even now saying, what are you most looking forward to this summer? It's not that I'm not interested, but it doesn't hit the same way that it used to. I don't know, it shouldn't be that way, but it is. I'm not really that into it. And if you throw a random year at me, I might be able to name a summer movie or two, but I don't equate movies with years the way that I did as a much younger person. Like you say to me, Die Hard, the original, summer 1988. It immediately calculates, it immediately clicks. Yeah, that was a summer movie. And most of the big films from 1988 through 1997, if you throw the movie at me, I'm probably going to be able to tell you what point in the year it was released. Oh, that was a prestige picture that came out in the fall. Or in the case of Unforgiven, it was a prestige picture, but they had a locked-in summer release date, and they ended up getting that right because it was a big box office hit. That was an example of a movie where the reviews were so overwhelmingly strong, and there were a lot of boomers and a lot of like older boomers and even members of the greatest generation, after all, this is 32 years ago, who were so thrilled that their guy Clint was making what appeared to be a comeback, which is exactly what it was. It's one of the great comeback stories in the history of Hollywood, really, that he was about to be put out to pasture and nobody wanted to work with him. He said, well, he's kind of box office poison. His last 4 movies more or less bombed. We're not in the Clint Eastwood business anymore. Could you imagine somebody saying that about him? With all the money that he'd already made Warner Brothers in the first 30 years of his movie career, we're not in the Clint Eastwood business anymore? Hey, go fuck yourself. That's the late, great Michael Caracciolo, one of the first YouTubers, the kid from Brooklyn. That was his favorite saying. He loved to say that when people pissed him off. G to the F to the Y. Sitting here now, I can't even think of a single movie coming out this summer that I'm like, oh my God, I have to see it. The last summer movie that I was excited to see was last year, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which I ended up not seeing in theaters. There was just too much stuff going on with trying to sell my dad's house and get ready to, to close on my own. And there was so much going on. I did not go to the movies last year. But I saw Dial of Destiny. I saw it at home. I bought Amazon Prime, the digital stream or whatever, and I loved it. I've seen it 3 times. I think it's really good. Way better than Crystal Skull. Not as good as any of the original trilogy. I love Raiders, summer movie. And Temple of Doom, summer movie. Last Crusade, summer movie. Not an accident. Crystal Skull, summer 2008. But yeah, I'm not really that. It's not that I'm aware of what's coming out, but I just don't equate things with, oh, this is summer, this is not summer. I used to be really up on release dates. Oh, this is coming out August 7th. This is coming out July 26th. No, couldn't tell you what movie is coming out on what date. I have to be looking at it, and then oh, look at this. It's coming out next week. Like, I thought The Fall Guy was out for a month or 6 weeks. I didn't realize, oh, it just came out recently. Because a lot of the ads you see on the internet, it's tough to tell when is the movie actually landing. Especially if you have friends overseas. Wait, the movie opened in Australia already? Oh, I didn't realize that. Or in most cases, it opens here first, and then maybe they get it overseas in a couple of months. It's not so unusual. We used to do that in the old days when they had to strike up prints a certain number of film cans, and then they would ship it overseas. The movie would finish a theatrical run in the States, and then it would open in Europe. They didn't make limitless amounts of prints of the movie. They might have struck up 2,000 and then go from there. This is all binary, old school. Not necessarily old school technology, but it's analog, not digital. Let's put it that way. But when I think some of my best movie memories were seeing films in theaters during the heat of summer, where you would, I know this is a cliche, you would come out of the heat of day into an air-conditioned theater and grab your popcorn, grab your drink, and just go see a movie. And if that isn't just about some of the best memories that you can have as a kid. No pressure. You're just in a darkened theater. Maybe it's crowded, maybe it isn't. And you just shut your brain off for a couple of hours. Whatever problems there are will still be there when you get out. But for a few hours, find yourself immersed in a world of an In the Line of Fire, a Total Recall, a Terminator 2, The Mask, or any number of those incredible 90s classics that I remember so fondly. This has been episode 177 of the Confessions of a Not So Dangerous Mind podcast. I'd like to thank you all for joining me on this rainy, it's still raining, Sunday in New York. And if you caught this episode on the YouTube channel, if you haven't done so already, please click like, subscribe, comment, share, turn on those notifications. Or if you catch this episode on the audio platforms such as Spotify or iTunes, the same general rule applies. Click like, subscribe, share, turn on those notifications. I'll be back with episode 178 real soon. Until then, I'll be back. Peace.